Continuous praise to the Most High God, King of heaven and earth, even the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Israel. To him and to him alone are all due praises. Brothers and sisters, we thank you for joining us this evening for another Torah study. We are congregation ShomrayHabreet, and we are the keepers of the covenant. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for all things, for everything, even for having us here, even as we approach our holy Shabbat day. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akol Yakir. Shabbat Shalom. How are you?
Shabbat
Shalom, Net. So,
Okay.
Amen. 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 Our topic this week, brothers and sisters, the dangers of breeding hatred. The subtopics being generational curses that block blessings. Number 2, the northern and the southern kingdoms. And 3, family feuds that separate. And I'm going to talk a lot about unity and things that break us up this evening, making sure that we acknowledge the things that break us down and also making sure that we acknowledge the things that build us up. And the importance of what? Divine friendships. And when I use that word divine, I'm using that in terms of having godly friendships, understanding the importance of having bonds with people who serve God and serve the true and living God and are striving after righteousness. So we're going to get into all of that this evening, brothers and sisters. We're going to start off with the tefillah. So I'm going to ask everyone to please rise and face the east. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yehovah God, God of the heavens and God of our forefathers, even the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Israel. We give thanks and praise unto you, Yehovah God, for all things, for everything, even for blessing us with another day to come before you, blessing us to have another Torah study, blessing us to open up the book of your law, to consider the things you left on record, the righteous acts of our forefathers and the wicked deeds, for blessing us, Yehovah God, to have fellowship with people who think alike, for blessing us, Yehovah God, to understand that there is a way for us to get better before you. I ask, God, that you bless us in all aspects of our lives. I ask, Yehovah God, that you answer all the words of our prayer. I ask, Yehovah God, that you teach us how to pray unto you. I ask, Yehovah God, that you teach us how to serve you. I ask, Yehovah God, that you teach us how to read your book, not for what we want it to be, but for what it actually is. To understand righteousness, to understand, Yehovah God, the true way, to search out understanding, and to walk before you in a way that is right and good, so that you might bless us, Yehovah God, in such a way that you would bring us into our covenant. Even into that covenant, Yehovah God, that you said we would praise you and glorify you and acknowledge that there's none like you in all the world. Therefore, I ask that you bless this day those who are trying to understand that can't understand. I ask that you bless this day those who want to understand a little bit better and they desire not to come out to a place. Let this be their avenue, that they might hear your word, that they might desire to understand a little bit more, to read a little bit more, and to then come out and be part of the congregation. I ask, oh God, that you be with that downtrodden spirit that needs to be uplifted. I also ask, oh God, that you be with those who hear you calling them, that their spirit is yearning to praise and glorify you, Yahweh God, but they don't know that it's exactly you. Allow them to take the next step to praise and glorify you and to call upon your name always. We call upon you because we realize that you are God and God alone, and that beside you there's no other. All glory, all honor, and all praises unto your name now forevermore. Hallelujah. Amen. Brothers and sisters, please be seated. Continuous praise to the Most High God, King of heaven and earth, even the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Israel. We are going to get started with our Torah study this evening. Our Torah study being, and our Torah study topic being, the dangers of breeding hatred. Okay, let's get it on started. Koyakir, you heard the topic. And of course, I keep dropping these topics out like, yeah, all right, sure, no problem. So when you heard it, what did you first initially think about?
How hate is a learned behavior.
Okay.
You know, hate is something that is contagious because we're not born to hate.
Mhm.
Um, we're manipulated to hate people. I may be in a position to where I like somebody, and
Mhm.
somebody come and tell me, "Well, I don't like that person because of this, that, and the other," and that influence can cause my feelings about that person be hatred instead of love.
Mm.
It it's something that's contagious and it spreads. If it's not corrected, like from the first generation, it'll go to the second generation, and there's no change. So now we're this nation of people who hate instead of loving each other.
Mm. And so you think that's what we've become, a nation of people who hate each other.
Some of us, yeah.
You know, I'm of the opinion. I just let you know, I think we spend more time hating than loving. And I think we have, and I like that word you use, been manipulated. I think we have been manipulated into not liking one another, manipulated into thinking certain things about one another, having preconceived notions of ill will toward one another based on how we see each other, how we're depicted, things of that nature. My thing is, and this is what I want us to talk about tonight, how come we don't see love toward one another before we get there? Breeding hatred. How come we get to a point where we want other people to hate others, right? And it can get dangerous when you get people to hate others, right? Because something that one person might not normally do, another person is nothing to them, right?
Okay.
And so when we breed hatred, we're actually making others not like us, right? We're actually causing children
Mhm.
to have to be at odds with people that they don't even know.
Right. No
They didn't
reason.
otherwise meet. Come on, go ahead.
There's no reason. Children are innocent. You know, they pick up what we do, what we say, how we act, and then they learn from that. If if my children see me having a falling out with this family and they don't know anything about it, and I say, don't talk to them, don't talk to their children, and they say, why? Because I say so. They that can develop into hatred. Well, my Ema don't like this family, so I don't like this family.
Mm, okay. You know, you're gonna have some people that say that's how that's supposed to be. I listen. I understand what you're saying. You're gonna have some people that say that's how that's supposed to be. So I give us our first biblical example: Saul, David, and Jonathan.
Okay.
Now Saul hated David, right?
Hmm.
He loved him at first, but then he hated him. But Jonathan, who was Saul's son, he loved David with all his heart, right?
Right.
So it shows us that just because your parents hate somebody, that doesn't mean that you have to hate somebody.
Correct.
Shows us that if you're gonna hate somebody, and there's some times where people need to know what a person did. If you're going to hate somebody, you as an individual need to have your own mind and know exactly why you hate the person. Well, he did this, she did that, when they did this, right?
Okay.
Now, Jonathan, Yehonatan, he was strong enough as an individual. He understood that his father wrongfully wanted to hurt David. And let me tell you, Saul was trying to kill David,
Right.
right? I want us to keep that in mind because as we move forward as a people, when we spread things about one another, does that happen just externally or also internally? Where it's like, oh, if your cousin does this, or if your uncle does this. Now, some, again, I'm going to keep saying this all night. Some people, what they did needs to be told, right? But some people really just don't like people because of um, whatever.
Their status, popularity.
Popularity, right? That's, oh yeah. How can I dismiss that one, right? Popularity. That happens. We see that a lot in entertainment, right?
Right.
And so can it trickle down and things of that nature? And I think it can trickle down. I think it can be one of those things. But one of the things that I see is that when we have this level of hatred toward one another, does it stop us from uniting?
It does.
Okay.
Because there's that conflict right there. Let's say it's certain different camps. You know, if you have a leader that's promoting certain people not to throw other people with his own personal reasons, that's
Mhm.
unfair because they may not have issues with these people, but the leader does, and nobody wants to disobey leadership. But
Right.
at a cost, it's like because of your opinion, we start uniting, and that's not building a nation. So when do you just break that? When you break that cycle?
Mm. Mm. So it sounds like what you're talking, which leads into our first subtopic, generational curses that block blessings. And a lot of times when we talk about generational curses, we're talking about repeating the same mistake, the same mistakes. But how about the generational curse that the entire generation thinks a certain way, operates a certain way, and as a result, you can't move forward as a community? You know, in order for us to build and grow, we have to begin to learn the importance of being around one another. I always say, I'm like, the internet is nice. I love it. I'm on social media. There's nothing wrong with that. But how much building can we do simply through social media? We must interact with one another. We must be around one another. We must find ourselves in a space that when we move, it's, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to build this, or we're going to go out and we're going to do this collectively. If I can't get together with somebody because I feel that Yaki is going to be there and I don't want to see her, am I blocking my own blessing? Have we been blocking our own blessings? Well, I would say we have been. I would say we've been blocking our own blessings, and I think there's multiple ways we've been blocking our own blessings. But one of the things that I think in us blocking our own blessings is, I think that we found ourselves in a space that now we would rather see people fall than to understand how we can repair the relationship, right? Israelites, I've seen a lot of different congregations. I've seen congregations come up. I've seen congregations fizzle out. I've seen them, they've had their reasoning for it. I don't think it's always a generational curse. Sometimes I think it's the lack of strong leadership, or the lack or desire of the people to have strong leadership, right? And so when that happens, we kind of find ourselves in a space that we're blocking our own blessing. So, you know what? I'm tired of this rule of everybody must cover their head when they come in service. That doesn't make sense, and I don't read it in the Tanakh. So you know what? I'm not going to that place, right? If that's a prevailing thought, if that's a prevailing sentiment, then what ends up happening is other people start to think that way, and now we use that as our reasoning. We use that as our reasoning to say, this is why I don't go to places, because they have rules that I don't agree with. You understand that? If we I'm sorry, did you want to get in it?
Well, rules are placed there because they help you. They prevent you from sinning.
Correct.
And I mean, you have little minor things like what you said about the head covering, which is part of identity. No, it's not a law, but just to be known as who you are and how to identify yourself is something good that we should practice. You have to keep your head covered, but I'm not going to down somebody because they don't. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you breaking Torah because you're breaking a rule in our camp." That's not cool because you discourage somebody or even want to put their head covering on too. Well, I'm not doing it now. I was going to, but because you said it like that, I'm not going to do that. And it discourages.
Okay. I don't want you to answer right now, but I want you to think about it and prepare an answer for me. Name a way somebody can block their own blessing. Think about that answer. I'll come back to you in a minute. Name the way someone can block their own blessing. Sometimes you create a hedge around yourself without realizing you're creating a hedge around yourself. You claim you're open to everybody, but your actions show that you only want certain people around you, right?
Okay.
In order to unify with people, you're going to have to realize that everybody is not going to think like you. Everybody is not going to see things the way you see things. There will be some people who will have different versions of unity and unifying and how to go about it. And sometimes those ways are unconventional. Sometimes there are things that are done that people actually are forced to come together because of the circumstances. Now, sometimes you can be forced to come together under the circumstances, but all the circumstances do is highlight what about you that needs to change. And so I say this because unity, and I've been saying this the last couple of weeks, right? Unity details a little bit of compromise. In order to unite, there must be something I'm willing to compromise that I don't like, that won't negatively affect us or the nation, that will allow us to come together. And sometimes I think that lack of compromise is a generational curse that blocks us from our blessings. Come on.
Ignoring wisdom and closing your ears to what is being taught, not wanting to hear about discipline and obedience and just wanting to do things in your way and not looking at other ways of compromising.
Definitely. I think what you're talking about is the Hebrew term of being stiff-necked. We read that in our scriptures, right? Are we still a stiff-necked people? Sometimes I think we are. Huh?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're stiff-necked. Turn to the left. You stiff-necked, you gotta turn like this, right? Stiff-necked. Are we still that stiff-necked people? Absolutely. I think we have a problem also defining what love is.
Yes.
I think collectively we have a problem with defining what love is. Because it's like show some love and being a loving person. It's two different things. Show some love or be a loving person. That's two different things. Do you consider yourself to be a loving person? Why or why not? Well, of course, If you ask me, I'll tell you. No reflection on anybody else. If you ask me, I'll say I'm absolutely a loving person, an understanding person, hear people out, this, that, and another. And I can guarantee you there's somebody else somewhere that's like, please. he think he a loving person. But to let you know that there's always opinions on how you go about doing things, right? Put up the Facebook users comment because I wanna read that off. I want people to see it. Facebook user, we can't see your face. You blocked your own blessing by presumptuous sinning. You know better, but choose to go against. Thus saith Yah. Oh yeah.
Amen.
Presumption. You know you're gonna sin. You sin anyway. You know better, but choose to go against what the word of the Lord says. And I said Facebook user, we can't see your face because when these comments come up, I like to give people the credit. Whoever said it, to give them the credit. So that's why I said that. You can block your own blessing by continuing to do wrong. Being afraid to tell people to do the right thing can block your own blessing. How does that happen?
Because they'll look at you like you're judging them, or who are you to tell me I'm doing something wrong? Open up your closet before you say anything to me. Nobody wants to hear that. And we're supposed to rebuke our brothers and sisters in love. I'm supposed to stop you, Moray, if I see you doing something wrong, because what you do affects you and my household and then your reputation. And that's what I'm here for. And if I just let you do whatever you want to do and I see that, what type of person am I? I don't love you if I do that.
So, comes up the scripture. Rebuke your brother and suffer not sin upon thyself, right? We use it when it works in our favor. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. We use it when it works in our favor, right? But when it's not in our favor, oh, wait a minute, hold on, pump the brakes, right?
Okay.
I can say rebuke your brother and suffer not sin upon yourself when my brother or my sister doesn't want to hear what I have to say. Then it's fine. But if somebody's coming to me and they're rebuking me, then I don't really want to hear rebuke your brother and suffer not sin upon yourself, right? Now I'm kind of blocking my own blessing. I don't want to hear it from you, and I don't think you're qualified to tell me, even though you may be absolutely right in what you're telling me. So that's what you said, like, go look in your own closet first, right? Clean home first before you come and start talking to me. But the reality is the person who's saying something to me is right. We block our own blessings. That being negative and a quote, Mavina said this. She said, being negative about everything and everyone is a sure way to block your blessings. I could talk about that probably all night. All night. Why? If you got something bad to say about everybody, that means nobody's good enough for you. Nobody. And I get it. There are some wrong things going on that need to be addressed. But nobody's good. Everything is bad. Every single thing, no matter how you look at this, it's just the whole thing is going to pot. I think there's a prevailing sentiment, right? And I've been talking about that for the last 2 weeks, of Israel is in a very bad position right now because of all the things going on and things were better then than now and all that other stuff. And my question is, if that is the case, what are you doing about it? There's so many people, I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's so many people that have, I'm not a leader in them, and people don't listen to me, and it's up to you because. And I tell people, it's like, listen, there's the shepherd and there's the flock. the shepherd is only as good as where the flock decide to follow him to. If the flock doesn't follow the staff, listen, he ain't the shepherd of the flock. So the same way you expect, and leaders have obligations, let me just tell you, of course we do. The same way you have an expectation of your leader is the same way you should have an expectation of yourself to not only do the right thing, but to help effectuate what the leader is putting in place so that the vision can come to pass, so that the unity can be achieved. If he's trying to teach you more, then you have to understand how to be a good student. If he's trying to lead you to a certain place so you can see something, you have to be a good follower of directions, right? You may not understand what he's trying to show you, but you may understand when you get there. So what do you have to do? You have to be a good follower of directions. Go left, go right, go down those steps, go around that river. And once you get around the river, that's where you'll see it. There's generational, and let me just say this and I'll let you go. There's generational curses that block blessings that tell you there's only a certain type of person that you should listen to. And they sound a certain way. They look a certain way. And if they don't sound like this, or look like this, or do these things, then they're wrong. And the reality is that we've been listening to people that not only don't look like us and don't sound like us, but are not trying to serve God like us, and we've taken it for face value as an absolute, is that what it is? That's what it is, instead of looking at it in a way to say, how does this information bring value to my life? Koyakia, go ahead.
You was talking about leadership. I just thought about Joshua and Moshe, how Joshua was being prepared. He was right there by Moses, being prepared for later usage. He knew everything that Moses was doing. He was picking up the behaviors, the hatred that they showed towards Moses, all the murmuring and everything. He was preparing himself for when he got over into Canaan, how to deal with these people. And he even said himself that you are going to serve other deities. You know, he watched the children of Israel do these things. So he had to prepare himself. So when you talk about leadership and how the people around the leader should promote what the leader is doing, Joshua was an excellent example of that.
Absolutely. Excellent example. And this is what I'll tell you. Let me use this word onus. Now, don't always point the finger. Sometimes the onus is on you. You have to be the person to understand a little bit better. I talk about this because when I talk about blocking blessings and generational curses and things of that nature, you ever realize after the fact that somebody was trying to help you? And then you said to yourself after everything was said and done, man, he was really trying to help me. Or man, she was really trying to help me.
That's me being stubborn.
Right. Not only being stubborn, but wanting to, how do you call that? Be in your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you block your own blessing because you want to be mad, because you want to be sad, because you want somebody to know you feel a certain type of way. And so somebody comes to you and they say, well, do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want that? No, that don't matter. And if this happens, that won't help either. And if this is done, then that won't be it either. And then you ask them, you say, so what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. Okay. Well, guess what? Once you find yourself in that space, now you're blocking your own blessing. And that's because we couldn't move on from our emotions. That's the generational curse. Learning to complain, learning, and let me tell y'all something, get past Deuteronomy 28, because Deuteronomy 28 is not the reason for everything in our lives, right? We were complaining in the wilderness before there was all the other stuff. When we came out of Egypt, we could, and y'all see me speak about it tomorrow, we can be given a 40-year sentence and still come back and do the very thing that we got a 40-year sentence for. It's amazing. It is amazing. The very thing that you get in trouble for, you come back, you can acknowledge that that's what you got in trouble for and come back and do the exact same thing.
Idol worship.
Idol worship. What is our things with idols? Y'all know my monotheism talk is on its way. But come on, what is our thing with idols?
You know, I guess the other nations deck them out really nice with the gold and the silver and the jewels and everything.
No. Listen, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna let y'all make up these excuses.
I'm not making up. We are visual people. We like certain things, what we see, and you know, it's pretty. It's pretty in pink. It's pretty in gold and everything. I want that.
But why the idol? Get yourself a watch. Make yourself a chain. Why is it all these other things are pretty? Why the idol? It's something about that idol. It's something about what's going on. Part of the generational curse that blocks blessings. That we say, this is what protects us. There's something there. We're gonna have to admit it. There's something about what we do that prevents us from moving forward. Do we like families?
You said, do we like families?
Yes. Do we like having families?
Okay.
We do. So how come we have so many broken families? I know what. We like chains. We like clothing. We like jewelry, right? We like sisters. Y'all like getting what? Y'all lashes done and your eyebrows done and getting your hair done and pocketbooks and all those different bags and shoes and things of that nature. I know we like that. So, do we like family?
We like the family function, yes. And when it's broken, you know, nobody wants to see a family broken. Things happen. You know.
I'm gonna be the first one to say it. I ain't the first one to say it. I'm just joking on to say it. I'm here to say it. Let's do that. We claim we like family, but when it's time to operate as a family, we don't do it. Right? We don't do it. We like the idea of a family. My father, my mother, my sister, my brother. Right? We like the idea of those things being there. We like the idea of how we operate collectively to move as a unit. And families obviously make communities, and communities obviously make nations. I'm going to get to a quote Asha's comment in a second. I want us to understand this. We have so many broken families and so many broken homes that it doesn't make sense that even though we say we love one another, we don't operate like we love one another. And there's a reason why our homes are broken. It ain't that we just decide to break. So I just want us to get that out. Part of the generational curse is that we don't value one another's presence as friends and as family. Part of the generational curse is that we don't value each other's presence as family, as friends. Is it important for us to live around one another?
Yes.
Of course. Do we live around one another as Israelites? It's like, nah, okay, Moray, you're going a little bit too far there. I don't really want to see y'all every day.
We are part of the mixed multitude.
All right. It's like, listen, how about I meet you over there? Is it important for us? Is it important to have an Israelite block?
Yes, it is.
Is it important to have an Israelite area?
Okay.
Is it important to have an Israelite province, an Israelite town? And I'm telling you right now that if you're like, I don't want to live around Israelites, how can you say you want an Israelite nation? Because in an Israelite nation, we all live around one another.
Or is it certain Israelites? I don't want to live around certain Israelites.
Listen, what's those certain Israelites?
The ones that's going to tell me the truth.
Right. The ones that's going to tell me the truth. The ones that's going to tell all my business, right? Be like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I'll tell you, I don't want to live around all Israelites. But what are those Israelites? Those Israelites who don't want to live righteously. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live around Israelites who don't want to work and don't want to build. Because guess what? There are some people who just want to destroy, some people who are here for a free ride, right? And so all the things I'm talking about requires a level of what? Accountability, right? So, of course, the selfish side of me says, I want to work, I want to live with the hardest workers. Why? Because with the hardest workers and those who understand things, we will constantly build. Right? But that's a reason. You understand what I'm saying? I've noted to you the reason why I want to be around certain people. So I'm saying that because sometimes the very reasons why we don't want to live around each other are the very reasons, brothers and sisters, that we don't want to worship with one another. We take our reasons for not wanting to live around one another to be the same reason why we don't want to worship with one another. I'm telling us this because when you get to blocking a blessing, sometimes the very person that you think you can't get along with is the person who has the idea to what? Build, houses, has engineering, build cars, understands planning, understands how to create. I always say we have this focus around the tent of meeting. We have this focus around service, which is the way it works. It branches out. Our problem is in us trying to get the tent of meeting together, we forgot about the other things that build us up. School, entertainment. And when I say entertainment, I got to tell y'all this. Righteous entertainment. Is there wicked entertainment? Okay. Oh, yeah. We need people who help establish righteous entertainment for us. We're always worried about our children being lost to the world when the reality is that every time they needed to be entertained, where did we send them to? Where did they go to? Either they lived sheltered life inside the house, or we sent them to be entertained by a world that had no knowledge, wisdom, or understanding of the Most High God with them. All right. Oh, go ahead. Come on.
Back to what you were saying about you knowing somebody in the community who can do these things, but you don't get along. I guess that's where compromise come in. I can try to set my feelings aside to get this done. And talking to the person, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way towards that person? So that won't keep lingering within you.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Maybe coming together may salvage that emotion that you're feeling. But let me go talk to the brother and sister because I see what he or she is doing and I like it. I feel some type of way. Let's just see what I can do. You got to sometimes swallow your pride too.
yes, yes. I'm going to tell you this. Some of these things are not as complicated as we make them. I don't need to necessarily know your whole background and like you to be in the supermarket with you, right? We go to the supermarket, Walmart, different places, whatever the name of your markets are. And we see people all the time, right? You don't know them. Sometimes you meet strangers. You see people. You're like, oh, excuse me, can I get to the ketchup? Or, oh, excuse me, I seen the vegan cheese in your cart, but I couldn't find it. Can you tell me where you got it from? Life goes on, right?
Okay.
Either they tell you or they don't tell you. And most of the time, they do tell you. Our issue is we find ourselves in a space, and this is what I want us to understand. We find ourselves in a space where we're like, oh, what? You know what? If your kid's going to be there, then I don't want to be there. Not that Yakir is doing anything to anybody or is not helping anybody. But we've learned to take these stances on things that actually in the grand scheme of things are inconsequential. Right? And so, you know, I tell people is this, listen, I'm a long time believer of this. I tell people this. It's like, hey, listen, if you honestly believe that somebody is that much of a detriment to you, this world is big enough. We are not in a small space. This world is big enough that you can be one place and the other person can be another place. But if you want unity, I'm telling you what you're doing breeds hatred. Because how do we breed hatred in that aspect? Well, you know what? I don't go to this supermarket because a Kodash is over there.
Hi,
Or, you know, I don't go over to this playground because my brother Aish, he got his kids playing over there, and I don't like the way he raises his kids. Right? It happens. These are the things that block us. All right, I want to get to a couple of comments, but I want to get to a Cole Asha's comment. But first, Cole Lavina says, I guess we need something tangible. Reason for us wanting a king. She's referring to 1 Samuel when we asked the Most High God, we asked Samuel for a king. And Samuel was upset, and God had to tell Samuel, he said, it's not you that they reject, it's me that they reject. Don't worry about it. We always want somebody to champion us and things of that nature, but our idols, trust me, no matter what, those are the very things that hold us back from getting closer to God. All right, Cole Asha says, Moray, what are the steps of engagement to not block our own blessings? For example, an apology has 3 defined steps to a true apology. Most just do the first step of the verbal apology. I believe those 3 steps to a true apology is first, acknowledgement. And in acknowledgement, you must let the person know. You must acknowledge to the person that you have done wrong and that you are truly sorry. The second step is action.
Mm-hmm.
You must show through your actions that you have a certain level of remorse, that you don't want to do that anymore. That sometimes avoidance, right, lets a person know that, hey, you are apologizing. Because guess what? I don't want you to, feel a certain way. Sometimes the action can be the extension of a gift, right? Here, this, that, another. And sometimes people are like, oh, you're trying to bribe me. No, that's not the person trying to bribe you. They apologize to you. They're trying to let you know that they're not sorry. Men do it all the time. Women, when a man is trying to apologize to you, what's the first thing he buys for you?
Flowers.
Flowers. Each and every time. It's not a bribe. It's how it goes. It's, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be this way. I don't want it to be that way. And what's the third step of a true apology?
Forgiving.
Forgiveness was part of the first step. Not forgiving the other person, but what would be the third step? If I need to go and acknowledge the other person that I apologize, then I need to show through my actions that I'm truly apologetic. What's the last thing I can do?
Guess not bring it up again.
Close, not bring it up, but
not do it again.
Not do it again. Thank you. Don't repeat the action. Don't repeat the action, because if you repeat the action, you negate everything about it. All right. So if we understand those principles, acknowledge, right? The second, action. Let your actions show that you truly are sorry. And the third being not repeating it, right? Then if we look at those principles, how would they be the same for not blocking your own blessing?
Well, let's use Israel as an example. We did these same things towards the Most High. We acknowledge we did wrong. We ask for forgiveness, and we say we won't do this again.
And
know what I'm doing though, because we wind up doing it. We wind up serving the other gods. So
yes,
and because of that, we got thrown into captivity. Because of what our kings did, the nation split.
Mm-hmm.
So we block our own blessing because now we became a divided kingdom instead of being just collective. We're scattered.
Right, we're going to get to that in a second, how we became a divided kingdom. I want us to talk about the 3 steps. 3 steps to blocking our blessings and learning to unblock our blessing. How can you block your blessing? Well, I'll set us off. Your actions. You block your own blessing by performing actions that are counterintuitive to righteousness. Right? You have to learn to do things that show that righteousness is on your mind and that's what you expect to achieve.
Avoiding behaviors that leads to sin.
Avoiding behaviors that lead to sin. Your actions. First, you must know where your blessings lie, and then you can't do actions that negate that. What's the second thing, though? Now that you acknowledge that, what's the second thing you do?
You don't do the action again.
Environment. Part of not blocking your own blessings is making sure you don't keep yourself in an environment to block your blessings. Did you hear me? Did you understand that?
Yep.
Making sure you don't keep yourself in an environment to block your blessings. I'm sure there's some people sitting down right now. They got some people in mind that they're like, yeah.
I know what goes on in this area, and I got in trouble before in this area. I'm not going to go back there because
Right.
I know what can happen. I don't want to repeat that again.
And guess what? Sometimes it's bringing unrighteousness into your environment. You create a righteous environment, and then you bring people in that are unrighteous and are interested in making the environment unstable. Those things happen. So what would be the last part? First part is knowing what your blessing is and knowing what can block it. The second part is making sure that you keep yourself out of unrighteous environments and don't bring unrighteous people into your righteous environment that would disrupt what you have. So what would the last part be?
Walking away from what you've done before.
Walking away.
Don't want to repeat it, right?
Oh, listen, I'm with you. But how often do we walk away from something and then we find ourselves back over there? I'm not talking about when you found yourself away. I'm talking about when you walk away. You understood it wasn't good for you. See, walking away can be twofold. Walking away can lead you into sin, and walking away can lead you away from sinning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Walking away can lead you into sin, and sometimes walking away can lead you away from sinning. What type of walking away are you doing?
I'm not going to do the 360.
Okay. All right. What does it take for you to walk away?
Discipline.
Discipline, determination, dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Discipline, determination, dedication. You need all three of those things. Don't just walk away to walk away. Know why you're walking away. Be able to analyze why you're walking away. Be able to analyze what went wrong and why it's not working. And you have to be able to do this in spite of what people are thinking about you and saying about you. Right? You must be a little bit irreverent. You can't care about what everybody says because everybody is not on what? The same page. Everybody's not on the same page. And sometimes the very people that you need to walk away from are people who are taking care of you. Y'all understand that? The very people that, you're like, oh yeah, wait a minute. This person's taking care of me. What do I do now? And so I'm going to take the opportunity now to transition into our subtopic number 2, which is what? The northern and the southern kingdoms. How do we get to a northern and a southern kingdom?
Shlomo was building the gods for his wives. His wives left him away to the Most High, and the Most High came to him twice in reference to that. And the prophet Ahijah said that the kingdom was going to be torn and give it to Jeroboam, the 10 tribes. And then
Jeroboam, some in the back. Come on, keep going.
And Rehoboam was going to have the tribe of Judah because of what Solomon did. So just the whole idol worship thing is what led to the kingdom being split. He walked away from the Most High. He didn't love him like his father did.
Correct. And so God was actually okay with there being two kingdoms in Israel, right? A lot of times people will be like, well, why would God be okay with that? Well, guess what? There was already 12 tribes. You can't believe that every tribe operated the same. If you read your scriptures, you realize that every tribe operated differently. But God was okay with 10 tribes being under one person and the other two tribes being under another person, right? We're not going to count you're not going to count Ephraim and Manasseh as two separate tribes because they are one tribe. They all fall under the son of Yosef, right? So God was okay with that. What did Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, do to block his own blessing? What did he bring back with him from Egypt? Brought idol worship back with him, right? He had those calves set up. He had one set up in Dan, and the other was set up in slipping my mind right now. But he put them strategically throughout the nation, one in the most northern part of the northern kingdom, and another in the southern part of the southern kingdom. And why did he do that? He did that because he didn't want people going down to Jerusalem. And as a result, it blocked his own blessing. He wanted to establish his leadership, and as a result, he put something in place that will cause people to say, I don't need to go down to Jerusalem. He didn't fear God enough. He didn't trust the fact that even though God said that people had to go to Jerusalem, that after they went to Jerusalem, they would go back to their homes and acknowledge that he was the king. So what ended up happening to Jeroboam? What's the short answer? God punished him. He did right. God punished him, right? God got rid of him. He was like, well, listen, was it a small thing that I gave you 10 of the tribes of Israel? Why would you set up idol worship? Right? This is what he decided to do based on what he felt will put him in a better position. But he didn't realize when he did that he was blocking his own blessing. Do we do that? What are the idols that we're setting up? Is there a way we can look at this and see the very same type of things happen? I'm sorry, Koyakia, did you have something for me?
No. You said the idols that we set up. We have, I guess, like entertainment.
Idols of the mind. Entertainment.
Of course, money.
Money.
People. We put people before the Most High.
Idolizing people.
Right. Our jobs.
I was thinking that, right? We idolize that. How do we idolize that? Because we feel if we don't do everything they're telling us to do, I'm going to lose my job and I won't be able to take care of myself. That's the fear we should have toward the Most High. We give it to our job. What else?
Sometimes ourselves. We put ourselves above certain people, and sometimes we allow people to look at us as gods too.
We allow people to idolize us. We don't stop people. We don't correct people and let them know that you shouldn't give me that level of reverence, right? The same way the angels used to ask them, why do you ask my name? You don't need to know that. Why? Because it's God who you should be serving. So sometimes we allow people to put us on pedestals. You see people who call other men God, say that this is who they are in the flesh and things of that nature. And what happens?
They start believing in it. They start giving this power. They start giving them this power, and that person takes it to their head, and they start believing that they are God.
Correct. And then when they let us down, what happens?
Oh my gosh, they're so
Mm.
distorted and disappointed, you know. Don't put trust in flesh. Don't put
Never.
trust in flesh.
Never. Woe unto the man who makes flesh mess up the thing. But definitely that trust, it can't be, because guess what? The heart is weak, right?
Mm-hmm.
The heart is weak. We don't know how this works.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
what I used to do, what I trained my children to do
Okay.
is when they wake up in the morning, they pray and then they pick up the Torah. Before they do anything, don't you cut the TV on, put your cell phones down unless the Torah is on your phone. That's what you want to do.
Mm.
And I've embedded that in them, and they've been doing it ever since I taught them that. And I'm teaching them not to put things before the Creator, you know. And it got to a point to where they do it on their own. I don't have to tell them, but that's something that we should practice. Stop putting so many things before the Most High. See how your day go.
Mm.
I know me personally, when I read the Torah before I do anything, I didn't put the Most High last, and my day goes smooth. That's
Yes.
what I do. Not saying everybody got to do it, but that's what I know is within myself. I wake up, pick up that Torah, and start my day afterwards.
Mm.
Nothing else comes before the Creator.
Right.
Because you
So,
find yourself dwindling in so many things, and then you forget, oh, I read Torah, but I was on Facebook for 2 hours.
mm, the social dilemma, right? It's one of those things. Sometimes you can block your blessings by being distracted in times when God should have your attention.
Okay.
When you first wake up, God should have your attention. Before you lie down at night, God should have your attention. How does He have your attention? By prayer. That's what you're talking about, right? How does God get your attention? Open up your scriptures. I may not be great at prayer, but I know there's 150 Psalms. One of them has to apply to me or apply to what's going on in life. Right? We have our scriptures to do all of these things. I always tell us, and I'm going to get us into this, when it's time for new moon, what do? How do we handle it? I want us to keep that in mind, because as we move forward, brothers and sisters, I want us to know that there's a level of things that we do that if we don't have God in mind, and to Yakia's point, what ended up happening is Jeroboam was more caught up in being king than he was in being a God-fearing servant. Do we ever meet people that are like that? They're more caught up in what they want to get done as opposed to what they should be doing. Happens a lot, right? Happens many times. And so I tell us this because the northern and the southern kingdom wasn't the biggest thing. You living in one house and me living in another house isn't the biggest thing. It's what we're doing inside and outside of our houses. That's what keeps us apart. You can be very much divided and be in the same building.
Okay.
But what ends up happening? What ends up happening is everybody finds themselves together. And when everybody finds themselves together, they think that because we're there, we're all one. But when we had the northern and southern kingdom, we were one landmass. We were all together, but we were indeed serving two different gods. And of the two different gods we were serving, none of them was the Most High God. Some of y'all just missed that. The northern kingdom had their God, the southern kingdom had their God, and neither one of them was serving the Most High God. We just had our stuff all over the place. We couldn't understand how to get it done. Do we have a northern and a southern kingdom today? Yeah, we don't like the word, put that word kingdom on it, but I'm not talking about a northern and a southern kingdom to be like, oh, this is these people's kingdom, this is that people's
Right.
kingdom. I'm talking about a northern and a southern kingdom that certain people are serving one God and other people are serving another God. Do we have our false gods with us? And just to let you know, in the northern and the southern kingdom, all of them would have told you we serve Yah. All of them would have told you we serve the Most High God. But it's the things that they had associated with it. Was that blocking their blessing? Absolutely. And does it continue to block their blessing? Yeah, actually it does. So I want us to end out on this. And when I say end out, that's because I think we're going to be here for a while on this one. I'm just going to say it for sure. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We'll see how long this carries us into the conversation. But family feuds that separate. Okay. So, how many of us know what a family feud is? Without answering here or on the chat, how many of us have been involved in family feuds?
I like the game show.
That's pretty funny. Consider yourself fortunate that the sun didn't go down yet. Right? Yeah, I get it. But family feuds that separate. Do you know that you can cause such a dissension in your family that it can never be rebuilt?
Yes.
You can actually cause such a level of separation that it can never be rebuilt. It's entirely too hard because of what's happened along the way, right? Because of what was said, because of what was done, because of how somebody was treated, right?
Okay.
Asha says divorces separate. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, some of y'all got your own children taking sides. Like,
Yeah.
that's the father of your children. That's the mother of your children. And you know what some people say, which I think is absolutely amazing? They're like, and you know what? If I die, I don't want him taking care of them. If I die, I don't want her taking care of them.
It's breeding hate.
Like, that's amazing. Especially when the both of you are serving God together.
Okay.
The family feud. And what do we feud about?
Sometimes nonsense.
I'm gonna add something into there. A lot of times nonsense. So some of the stuff we argue about is like, really, right? Some of the stuff is legit now. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff is like, that doesn't make any sense. But you know what we argue about? Not listening to one another. You know, we take stances. We don't talk to each other's, but we don't talk to each other for days. And we're sitting there, we're like, you know, well, she did this, so I ain't got nothing to say. Well, he did this, so you know what? I ain't gonna call him. And you don't realize that the little things grow into big things.
Right.
I remind us of this. And you know, this is always part of the lesson. The more hate you bring, the greater the chance of you losing someone. And people will say, oh, well, I don't hate anyone. And when I said this, it wasn't from a space of hate. I was just joking, or I had something to say, or blah, 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 blah. Every time you do something that makes a person feel a way, just know that there's a danger of breaking it apart and losing it altogether.
Because you're adding stuff,
Correct.
and we all have our breaking point. And I understand that loyalty is very important, but
Mhm.
you know, there's a time where people take advantage of your loyalty.
Yeah.
They use you. They
Yes.
think they can say whatever they want to you because you're kind,
Yes.
and that tears somebody down in fragments.
Hmm.
And then what happens? We get these ball of emotions that's bottled up, and that
Hmm.
last thing that you say will make them bust, and then that's it. Now everything that you're trying to apologize for, they don't want to hear it.
Hmm. Hmm. It's I mean, they live in the chat, and I agree with this here, right?
The
Um,
brownies got the wrong frost on it. I like chocolate.
like, if I said no walnuts in the brownies, why are we putting walnuts in the brownies, right? So what happens. We start arguments over this stuff.
Mhm.
Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with brownies. Yeah, but you put raisins in it too. Why are we putting walnuts and raisins in brownies? Right? We do stuff like this, right? And we make it a big thing. But religious beliefs,
Mhm.
let me just tell you, we're all coming from a certain space. Money. Oh, money. Let me tell you, money has broken up many a relationship, many of a relationship. Traumas coming into a relationship, thinking that everybody is going to treat you the same, not giving the person a fair shake. It ain't her fault you've been divorced 18 times, brother. So now you want to rule her with an iron hand, where the other 18 bad choices you made, they were treating you a certain way, where now she's trying to treat you right. That's you allowing your traumas to block your blessings. Sometimes our triggers, you know, every time she shows a little bit of emotion, I want to shut her up. See, you're being rebellious. You're talking back. This, that, and other. She got to disagree some way. How's she going to disagree? She doesn't have to be disrespectful, but she can show some emotion. Surely she can show some emotion, right?
Okay.
So you have your trigger because you feel you don't want to be disrespected. So everything is be quiet, shut up. You're talking too much. I said it and that's it. I'm the man. And see the ketchup versus the mustard. I'm just gonna tell y'all, and I know Cole Asha, she just being funny with the ketchup. We all know it's KE. We know it. But the ketchup versus the mustard, that's right up there with the brownies with the wrong frosting on it, right? You be like, yo, who put the ketchup in the refrigerator?
Oh man,
It stays in the cabinet,
I
right?
don't want cool ketchup.
Every time you put mustard on my sandwich, you flip over the bottle and all the oil from inside the mustard leaks out first, and then you put it on my sandwich, and now my bread is soggy. Why we keep doing this? We get into arguments over this stuff, right? Like this stuff sounds like I had this type of conversation before. like these things go on. Ketchup, mustard, you like, and let me just tell y'all, trivial things, but it doesn't become trivial when what? You think the person is doing it on purpose.
Right.
Right? Do we ever find ourselves in scenarios which block our own blessings because somebody is being petty? How many of you still consider yourselves the kings and queens of pettiness? No, don't tell me. I don't need your ones in the chat. I don't need it all right here, Moray, amen, and all that. I don't need it. But I know where we are. the kings and the queens of pettiness. These are the things that we look at. Also, we talked about finances and parents showing favoritism. Oh yeah, let me tell y'all, it ain't good. As a parent, let me just tell y'all, it ain't good. And sometimes you see it, and as a result, it makes you not maybe want to deal with a certain parent, certain
Those
children.
are his brothers.
Right. Showing favoritism can cause ill will within a family. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All these things happen. And you know, sometimes we're playing favorites and we don't even realize we're playing favorites. And I tell y'all, listen, for all you children who are listening now, and all you parents who are dealing a certain way, I stand by this next statement. I am not treating all of my children the same, and you have some of them who are showing that they're being a better son and a better daughter than others. And you do not, I don't want to hear about this. Oh, everybody gets treated equally, this, that, and other. Yes, I love you all and I'll give all things to y'all, but the person who does more shouldn't it reflect that they're doing more? And shouldn't the one who's trying to impress me, shouldn't she get more? Shouldn't he get more? And because you don't want to do anything, that's fine. You have your choice of how you want to deal with your parent. But don't tell me that when it comes out, you know, there's this one child who can just be disrespectful to me, and I'm supposed to treat them as the same child that is respectful. That has nothing to do with favoritism. No matter how much children may try to paint it, it's like, no. The reason why I deal with you this way is because, and if you try to do things that show this is what's going on, then fine. Now, guess what? Some people don't allow their children to show the better side of them. That's the better part of parenting, right? But that's all of us building our families. That's us understanding what we have to do, right? Sometimes you gotta say, oh, listen, if this child is trying to impress me, especially, and it's always a struggle when you have multiple children. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if you're a parent, you have multiple children, hopefully you've never been in this space, but I'm sure some of you have been in that space where you like, I could be in this room choking, and that child right there won't budge. They won't move. But these two, they'll get up, come running them up. Everything okay? Everything going on? Everything's going on? Do you need anything?
Okay.
That's what we need, right? These are the type of things that we need. So I tell us this because family feuds that separate, sometimes, brothers and sisters, sometimes we are dealing with things that we're creating situations, right? We're creating situations that actually make people think we're separating. How many of us like cliques? We don't like the clique, right? You're like, wait a second. There's too many cliques going on in here. There's this little group over here. There's this little group over here. There's just this little group over there. What's the thing with a clique? You have a clique. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, are you?
Certain people are in, certain people are out, right? Oh yeah, well, he's part of the clique, but she's not part of the clique. So what happens? People eyeballing each other, people looking at each other funny. They're dealing with each other in a manner saying, oh, well, this is what happens with this clique over there because, and she got her little clique over there because, and I see that they got their little clique forming, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes some people aren't even trying to form cliques, but you're being accused of forming a clique. Some people are part of cliques. Is there space for that in Israel?
It's done.
We have these things going on, and we have to stop and say to ourselves, why are these things happening like this? What's going on here? Right? All these things are happening. And so I say that because, there can be so many things within a family that what ends up happening and I just want to tell y'all this, and I'm going to digress for a second. The reason why people have family feuds is because sometimes there's things that should be happening in-house,
right,
that are being spoken about when they shouldn't be spoken about. Sometimes you got to give people time to resolve your problems instead of looking for people to take your side on an issue. You can't operate that way. You can't move that way. You can't think of things happening that way. You got to stop and say to yourself, hey, listen, it's time for me and my sister to resolve this behind closed doors. Everybody should know that me and my sister are at odds. And sisters, I'm going to tell y'all that sometimes that y'all are going to have to learn to resolve your issues amongst yourselves because you know the things that y'all are feeling that you're not letting anybody else know about. And that's okay sometimes, as long as you resolve it. Right? Sometimes we have to know that we have a level of separation, family feuds, because we're like, oh, he serves God one way and I serve God another. I've seen Israelites argue about the way people wear fringes. Israelites argue about length of skirts and what's the appropriate length of a skirt. All right, we argue about this. Israelites argue about how you are to tie a turban and what's the proper way to tie a turban. If you could leave the middle open or closed, and where you can leave the middle open or close that, and all that other stuff. Are these things we should be arguing over?
No.
So I ask them, do we argue over God?
One more time, Moray.
Do we argue over God?
Yes, we do, because we have people who believe they serve God better.
Yes.
The Most High got me on this level. You're beneath me, so you should listen to me more. Go pick up your book and study. You'll know enough.
Limited knowledge. That's how we try to hurt people, right? You have limited knowledge. You're not qualified to speak to me right now. All right, so how do we heal from all of these things?
From these cliques that we form in Israel?
All of it. Not only the cliques too, but not only the cliques, but we talked about a lot of things tonight. So we're going to begin to wrap this up. How do we heal from all of that? What are the steps that we need to take as a nation to get past these points?
Definitely communication.
Communication.
Because, if I'm not able to talk to you and dismiss all these feelings that can turn into hate, I'm not moving forward. You're not moving forward. The nation's not moving forward. So we're going to stay in the same position. And then, nothing's getting done. There's no unifying. We don't show example of change for the next generation or for people who may have the same issues that we're dealing with. I want to be able to see a situation to where, hey, they bounce back from the situation because they dealt with it like this. Let's try this and see what happens. And I see that this relationship is better. I don't see the hate. I don't feel all that anymore. So communication, putting Yah in everything, first and foremost. we lost that. Let's put the Most High in the midst of our judgments or this conversation that we're having. We forget to do those things.
Right.
Let Yah be the main focus, and then we have Yah in there. Truth should surround that.
Mm.
You put Yah in something, we should fear if we say anything false.
Yes. Amen. Put Yah in everything. It's there. Occult Mavina says repentance. Absolutely. Occult F. Maureen Allen says talk, listen, repent, pray, and seek counsel.
Amen.
Right? Kosotai says monthly open talk sessions in the park. Everyone gets together as a group. Cook out, eat, sports, and chat sessions as a whole. Occult Asha says love and be more loving and forgiving of one another and for ourselves. Brother RK says, be open-minded, humble, and the example of the righteousness we want to see. Y'all just said everything I was about to say. Right?
I didn't get your notes.
Say it again.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't read my notes? Okay, not this time. Okay, I'll give you this one. See? Show you. We're not going to create a family feud on this one. So, open-minded, be humble, be righteous, right? Talk more, listen more, repent, pray. Remember, don't just pray for yourself, pray for others.
Okay.
Pray for understanding, not for your own understanding,
Amen.
not just for their understanding, but y'all understand one another. And when Occult F. Maureen Allen says this, I mean, I'm going to put the comment back up. She says, seek counsel. Learn to ask other people about how you're feeling.
Amen.
Sometimes you need to ask other people, say, hey, listen, I'm feeling a certain way about this, but I don't know if I should be feeling this way.
Right.
And don't tell your story with a slant. Don't tell your story biased.
Right.
Give the facts for what it is so that somebody can give you accurate advice. Right?
Right. Because you don't want to be leaning upon your own understanding and you're wrong.
Correct. Kokawa says, trust. Trust. Sometimes you need to learn to trust your instinct. Sometimes you need to learn to trust the advice you're being given. Right? All that stuff is there. And so Kosotai talks about monthly open talk sessions. Now, sometimes we need to be in a space where we feel free to talk openly without the room for judgment.
Okay.
Right? We need to talk openly without the room for judgment. Because some of the stuff is we're afraid to talk to people about what we're going through because of how people are going to perceive us. And let me just tell you, some of the stuff that we have with us, yes, somebody needs to say something to you. Be like, don't find yourself in a space where you're like, well, I don't really want to talk about that. Let's just talk about how I can get past this, but let's not talk about what I did. You ever have somebody tell you a story and they start off and they're like, yeah, the other day when I was doing blah, 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 and you were like genuinely intently listening, and then you were just like, wait, what? Well, hold on. What'd you just say? You did what? Did you ever find yourself in that moment? We all have, right? I said, adults of a certain age, we've all been at that point where you just like, that sounds absolutely crazy. Sometimes that's what you bring. Absolutely. And my brother Nekemia, Shabbat Shalom, I'm asking for all Israel to do this. All Israel to do this. Right? We stop and we look at the situation and we say to ourselves, like, wait, if I'm going to ask you about something, I can't expect for you not to judge me along the way. People will have opinions about what you do. Some people, and I say this all the time, some people, what we're looking for is a psychiatrist. We're looking for somebody who we can sit down and talk to. And, the psychiatrist, he's not supposed to say anything about anything, right? He's supposed to just let it be until. No, we got to correct one another. So let's have these open sessions. Also, I want you to know too. Learn. Let me say this one more time. Learn to have a level of discretion. Not everybody has your best interests in mind.
Okay.
So I'm not sitting up here saying just treat everybody like family, because there is such a thing as you treating people like family and they treating you like dirt.
Okay.
I'm not telling you to share these instances with people who are treating you like dirt or will take your circumstance and think to laugh at it. Will take your circumstance and think to dismiss it because they feel you create your own circumstance, right? We have to learn to be a little bit more positive in what we do and how we go about doing things. And let me just tell y'all something. A family feud should not be in our Israelite vocabulary. Say that one more time. A family feud should not be in our Israelite vocabulary. How is it that a family is supposed to be based on love and supposed to be establishing legacy and things of that nature, and we have internal fights? But what's our family feud? What's our example from last week of a family feud? Who was up there arguing? And our portion of Korah. We have Moses,
Korah, Dathan, Abiram,
right? No, right? We had them. All about who's going to be in charge, right? Who God has accepted, who's righteous. And for Korah, it was like, what are you doing here? The Reubenites, we could see, they just felt being the senior tribe, they should have been in charge. But for Korah, it was like, well, what are you doing here? Ministering to the people is not enough for you? Right. Do you seek the priesthood also? Right? Family feud. Family feud. As a result, people wanted to break. As a result, they wanted to go back to Egypt. They wanted things to be their way. David and Absalom, that was another family feud based on David's earlier transgressions, right? But why was Absalom upset with his father?
Because Amnon slept with his sister. He didn't do anything about it.
Correct. So inaction can cause family feuds also, right? That's what happens there. Like, wait, what's going on? Why are we at war with one another? Why do we hate one another? So I definitely agree with Coach Sarai when she says a family that prays together stays together. Let's have a little bit more prayer in our lives.
Okay.
Do you pray with your spouse when y'all get up? When y'all lie down at night? Is it a priority to him or her? Is it a priority that when you see them praying, you join them in prayer? Right? You may not always be able to join them in prayer at every instance, but do you think to join them in prayer? Right? What are the things that you go together? Are we still at a point where one person goes to service and another person doesn't? Physical service. I'm not talking about these cities where you don't have a place of worship close to you. I'm talking about where your place of worship is very well in your reach. Do we still have a situation where one is going but the other isn't?
Okay.
Why is that?
They
Right?
just, I guess, view serving God differently.
Shouldn't y'all be serving God together?
Yes.
That's how it goes. So I want us to keep that in mind, brothers and sisters, because there's definite danger in breeding hatred.
Mhm.
You being a hater by just mere the natural order of life, you start to breed hatred. When you find yourself being a hater, it becomes contagious that other people think to hate like that, including your children who emulate what they see you doing and say to themselves, this is how I should be and this is why. We have to learn to get rid of hate. We need to learn to be proud of one another. We need to learn to promote one another. And we need to learn that within those things, serving God is a group effort. It is something that we must do together. And not only do we need to do that, we need to learn to help one another serve God better. How many people find themselves in a space where you feel that you need to just give up on certain people? Don't answer the question. There's going to be somebody here that's like, me. And then there's going to be one of their friends that's watching that's like, oh, he's talking about me right now. She's talking about me right now. But you may have had a space where you had to give up on a friend. You may have had a space where you needed to give your friend some time to think about what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Man, you may have had it. But I always tell you, be careful of giving people space. Because when that happens, you never know what they're saying in the meantime. That's why it's important for you to communicate. You think you're giving them space, they're looking at you like you're acting funny.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta just tell people, and of course, even in that, people will claim you didn't tell them. But sometimes you gotta stop and tell people, you're like, hey, listen, this is what's going on. This is what I don't like. When I see you doing this, that, another, blah, 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 blah. And you know what happens? People take that as complaining. People take that as, who are you to tell me what you don't like? Because there's some things I don't like about you and all those different things that I tell us. I'm like, no matter what, once you take that approach, there's other people who's watching that if they find themselves in that situation, they're going to take that approach also. All right, brothers and sisters, I want us to understand that because as we move forward as a people, there should be more love, more unity, more reaching out, and definitely more God. Hoping and praying that you got something out of what I said, and that the Most High God found these words acceptable to be spoken before his people, as I bid you all in the tongue of our forefathers. Shabbat Shalom Lakem, and everyone have a blessed Shabbat day. I do have a few announcements for everyone. The first announcement is concerning service tomorrow. Please join Congregation ShomrayHabreet tomorrow, July 9th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Your spiritual journey awaits. We will have the portion of Kukwat, which covers Numbers 19:1 to 22:1, and also the Book of Judges, chapter 11, verses 1 through 33, which is a very, very, very good portion. The teachers will be Maury Yiftach, which is myself, and also Maury Shire. He'll be giving us our history lesson. Also, brothers and sisters, please tune in because all the way from the land of Israel, I will be having Sar Amadio joining us this week. So please join us. He has a very special message for us. I'm sure everybody's going to like it. So please tune in. Tune in tomorrow to our message. Sar Amadio will be our specially invited guest speaker. Also, please bear in mind, brothers and sisters, that we will be 100% virtual tomorrow. Let me say that again. We will be 100% virtual tomorrow. So we're doing some renovations in the building, some different things are happening. So please bear with us. You'll be with us soon. We'll be back, but we will be 100% virtual tomorrow. So we will only be online for anybody who is coming to service. Also, we are the keepers of the covenant. Torah Study, Sisters Talk. Let's worship God. The Torah Study on July 22nd, 2022. Psalm 150, verse 6 states, "Let everything that has breath praise Jehovah. Glorify the name of Jehovah with us as we bring in the Shabbat day with prayers, songs, poetry, scriptures, and testimony. We all need a little inspiration, so let us inspire you." So, Ko Yakia, while I got you here, do you want to talk a little bit about that Torah study?
Yes, it's a praise and worship Torah study. A group of us is getting together just to give praises to the Most High, singing, praising scriptures or testimonies. So that's what it's going to be about. And if anybody wants to join, just reach out to me at yakia7@gmail.com, because we do have some spaces available, but they're filling up pretty fast. So let me know.
Amen. So let me get this straight. You're singing?
I am not singing. I am doing something, but I am not singing.
But you're not singing? Not at all? Okay, you're doing something.
I am doing something.
Okay. Yeah. You gonna pull out that drum on us?
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe the drum. Okay.
Maybe the drum.
Okay. All right. But we definitely got some singers. Is a coach, the very Rukama.
She will be there. Yes.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about. All right. I like it. I like it all. I definitely like it all. Kosara says, hallelujah. I can't wait. All right, brothers. This is what I'm talking about. This is definitely what I'm talking about. Okay. I am going to give us our scripture of the week, which is Psalm 146, verse 8. The Lord openeth the eyes of the blind. The Lord raises up them that are bowed down. The Lord loves the righteous. Always an uplifting message. All right, brothers and sisters. So once again, we thank you, everyone who joined us this week, saying Shabbat Shalom to my brother Jared, and Shabbat Shalom to Coach Sotai, and everyone who joins us week by week. I ask that the Most High God continue to bless you all. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp. We are Congregation ShomrayHabreet. We are the keepers of the covenant. Shabbat Shalom.
Maura, you like to close out in prayer?
Oh, yes. You're absolutely correct. Thank you very much. Can everyone, please rise and face the east. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yehovah God, God of the heavens, and God of our forefathers, even the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Israel. We give you thanks and praise, Yehovah God, for all things, for everything, even for blessing us to make it to the ending of another Torah study. And we ask, God, that you give us even the precepts of life. We ask, God, that you cause us how not to hate one another, how not to separate from one another, and how to understand one another. And we ask, God, that not only that you cause other people to understand us, but that you cause us to understand other people, and that you cause us to understand how you created us all differently and learn to be accepting of one another in spite of our ways. I ask, God, that we use righteousness as our barometer for friendships, that we use righteousness as a barometer for our community. And you teach us, Jehovah God, how to hold each other accountable and not hold each other accountable in hatred, not hold each other accountable in accordance with desire, unrighteous desires, but that, Jehovah God, we can hold each other accountable in such a way that all flesh might serve you. That, Jehovah God, we would have people who will come to us out of love and cause us to understand how to walk before you, be found acceptable before you, and to understand, Jehovah God, that even through our speech, the love can be felt. Therefore, I ask, Jehovah God, that you be with this people for good and not for evil. Give us eyes to see and ears to hear. Have it to be that our families will be built once again. Have it to be, Yahweh God, that our bonds will be strong, that they can never be broken. And have it to be, Yahweh God, that we will learn how to forgive one another with a true heart, with a true spirit, and with a true mind. We call upon you because we realize that you are God and God alone, and that beside you there is no other. Also asking, Yahweh God, that you be with all these people this night, that we might enter into a holy rest, that we might lay our heads down, that we might properly rest ourselves, that we rise up tomorrow to give thanks, praise, and honor to your most high and your most holy name in completeness and in righteousness. Hoping and praying that you heard this prayer, even as you heard the words of my forefathers' prayer, even Abraham, Yitzchak, and Israel, those men whom you desire to make covenant with and blessed according to their righteousness. And hoping and praying that you find me and my family, this entire congregation of ShomrayHabreet, all of those who are within the sound of my voice, the children of Israel in the four corners of the world, wherever we may be, worthy and even acceptable to be part of that righteous remnant and part of that righteous generation that you said would be the repairs of the breach and the restores the streets of dwelling. All glory, all honor, and all praises unto your name now forevermore. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Well, amen.
Amen.
All right, Shabbat Shalom and Lalato, brothers and sisters.